Sechas Nazir Daf Memches is a series of drashas on the psukim describing the Isser Tumah for a Nazir and a Kohen, specifically a Kohen Gadol. We've already discussed what we learned from the extra word la'aviv by the Kohen Gadol. Now we're going to move on to the word li'imo and the rest of the psukim. We want to discuss what each of the words are for and how we learn the specific halachos by the Nazir and the Kohen Gadol. So for each one, it says a similar pasuk. It says Kol Yemei Hazira Lashem Al Nefesh Meis Lo Yavo. And for Kohanim, it says Al Kol Nafshos Meis Lo Yavo La'avav L'imoi Lo Yitama. By Nazir also it specifies La'avav L'imoi, and then it even says La'achiv La'achaisai by one of them. So the Gemara is going to explain, if you give me the general, you're not going to be time to anybody, what is the specific mother, father, sister, brother, what is that for? And again, we know the halachas that we're looking for. We know that Kohen Gadol and a Nazir cannot be metame to a karov, to any relative. The only person can be metame to is to a meis mitzvah. So the Gemara is now up to the word li'imo, which is written by a Nazir and by Kohanim. So the Gemara wants to know, what is the word li'imo ba Kohanim? What is that for? It's an extra word. So the Gemara says it's for a drasha that Rebbe says in a brisa. We know that a Nazir is only forbidden to be mitame, to become tame, by touching his relative if they are dead and it's tumas mace. However, if he becomes tame by touching him for other tumah that they have, such as tumas ziva or tumas mitzira, those are not an issue. And that is learned out of the word imo that appears there. And then you have the same word imo, which is extra by a Kohen Gadol, and that's to make a link between the two, to make a Gzeira Shava. Just like imo by Nazir means that the Isser is only to be metame to imo or other krovim. Because of Tumah, there's no Isser to be metame to them for Ziva or Negoim. Now, how do you know the word imo is extra by Kohen Gadol? So the Gemara explains, if you tell me that you can't be metame to anybody, you certainly cannot be metame to krovim. We said that the halacha for the Kohen Gadol cannot be metame to his father. Can't be metame to his father. Certainly cannot be metame to his mother. The Gemara sets up a kavachomer from a Kohen Hedyot. A Kohen Hedyot could be metame to his brother and his father, and a Kohen Gadol cannot be metame to his brother or to his father. Certainly, a Kohen Gadol cannot be metame to his mother, and therefore that phrase is extra. The word imo is extra, and that's used for this halacha, for this hekesh. The Gemara now moves on to discuss a Nazir for a meis mitzvah. How do you know that a Nazir is allowed to be metame to a meis mitzvah? The Gemara brings a lengthy brisa, which will interrupt a number of times, that give us a number of limudim for Nazirim. So the brisa says as follows. The Torah says about a Nazir, Kol Yemei Hazir Lashem Al Nefesh Meis Lo Yavo. So nefesh could refer to a behema. Behema is also called nefesh, like it says make nefesh behema. How do we know that it refers only to a person, that there's no issue to be metame to a dead animal, tumas nevela? So there's two pshatim here. The brisa, the Tanakhama says because it says nefesh meis, the phrase nefesh meis only refers to a person. Rishmal says it's because it says nefesh meis lo yovo, which means that there's an isser ohel, there's an isser bias ohel, you're not allowed to contract tumas ohel from this meis, from this nefesh, and there is no tumas ohel on a nevela, there's only tumas ohel on a person. The Mishnah, the Brisa continues and says, what is the phrase la'aviv l'imoi for? Why do I need the extra words la'aviv l'imoi? If you tell me you can't be metame to anybody, that's included, you can't be metame to his father and to his mother. So the Brisa first discusses aviv, imo we'll discuss later. And as we've already seen what imo is for before, but we'll discuss it later in this Brisa. So aviv is to teach me that the limitation of Tumah is only to an Aviv. However, he is allowed to be metame to someone, and that's to a meis mitzvah. So the Gemara asks, why do I need a pasuk to teach me that a Nazir is allowed to be metame to a meis mitzvah? Should be kavachomer from a Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol has a higher level of kedusha than a Nazir, because his kedusha never comes off. It's kedusha forever. A Nazir is only kadosh for a certain period of time. So if a Kohen Gadol could be metame to a meis mitzvah, a Nazir could certainly be metame to a meis mitzvah. Gemara says no, you can't bring a kavachomer from there, because there is an aspect in which a Nazir is higher level and more restrictive than a Kohen Gadol, and that is that the Nazir has to bring a carbon if he violates his tumah, and therefore it's not so simple to have him be metame to a meis mitzvah. So it could be that a Kohen Gadol could only be metame to a meis mitzvah because he won't have to bring a carbon if he is tameh. But for a Nazir to be mechayim himself karbanos, we're not willing to do so fast. Therefore, you need the word aviv to teach me that he could be metame to a meis mitzvah. Ask Gemara, how do you know that's the right conclusion? Maybe what is coming to tell me that there is something that the Nazir or the Kohen Gadol could be matame to, the Nazir specifically. Maybe it's not referring to the Mace Mitzvah. Maybe it's referring to other people besides for his own relatives. It says clearly to his father and his mother he can't be matame. Maybe the diak is not his father and his mother can't be matame, but it could be matame to Mace Mitzvah. Maybe the diak is his father and his mother he can't be matame, but it could be matame to people who are far from him, who are not related. One says that can't be, because we know that it's easier to be matame to one's close relatives than to one who is not a relative. And you see it from the Kohen Hedyot. The Kohen Hedyot could be matame to his close relatives, but not to further relatives. So therefore, if the Nazir cannot be matame to his relatives, Kal v'chomer, he can't be matame to non-relatives. Now, the Gemara seeks to explain why the word la'aviv is extra by a Nazir. How would I know that a Nazir is not allowed to be matame to his father unless it said so? So the Gemara says, all it says is that he can't be matame to anybody. Maybe that's referring to other people, but to his father it could be matame. So the Gemara says you could have learned that of a Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol and the Nazir have similar structures. It says a general phraseology of an Isser to be matame, and therefore just like the Kohen Gadol is forbidden to be matame to his father and his close relatives, the Nazir is also forbidden to be matame to his father and his close relatives. So the Gemara answers, how do you know to compare it to Kohen Gadol? Maybe compare it to Kohen Hedyot. Kohen Hedyot also has a general phraseology of his Isser to be matame, and there it does not apply to his father. He could be matame to his father. So therefore Nazir does have to say his father, and therefore you can't learn a diak out of there to say that he could be matame to a Mace Mitzvah. I needed to tell me that he can't be matame to his father. The father is not repetitive or extra in any way. So the Gemara says, no, you learn from the father that you could be matame to the Mace Mitzvah. The Gemara says, but how? It's not extra. The Gemara says, okay, you're right. We'll have to change the gears in the Brisa. You're not learning it from the word aviv, you're learning it from the word achiv. It doesn't have to say achiv. Achiv is kal v'chomer from aviv. He can't be matame to his father. He can't be matame to his brother. And therefore, it is extra, and that is to teach you that he cannot be matame to his brother, but he could be matame to a Mace Mitzvah. The Brisa now continues. We've explained aviv, we've explained achiv. What's imo for? So the Gemara says imo, like we said previously in the Gemara before we brought this Brisa, is for the limud of Rebbe, that the Isser Tumah is only for Tumas Mace, not Tumas Ziva or Tumas Mitzayra. Okay, now the Gemara asks, what is word achoso for? So the Gemara says achoso is for a different halacha, and this is another situation in which a person should not be matame, and that is somebody who's on his way to bring his korban Pesach or to do Bris Milah, and he hears that he has a relative who died. He can go now and deal with that relative and be osik in the kfur, but then he'll lose the mitzvah of korban Pesach, and also not have time to do Bris Milah, so he'll lose the mitzvah of Bris Milah bismana. So what should he do? So the Brisa says you would think that he should go be matame, and therefore he should lose those mitzvahs. We have a limit that says no, he should not be matame, he should do the mitzvahs first. So the Gemara says, what about a Mace Mitzvah? Should he be matame for the Mace Mitzvah? So that's what the word achoso is for. Achoso is to tell you that for his achoso, he should not be matame, he should continue on to do the korban Pesach or the Bris Milah. However, dafka achoso, but for a Mace Mitzvah, he should be matame and lose those mitzvahs. Okay, this is all the first opinion in the Brisa with the Gemara's comments. Now the Brisa brings Rabbi Akiva's opinion. It's a different way of learning these psukim. So it says, nafshos mace. So what's that? So Rabbi Akiva says the drush is as follows. Nafshos, without mace, refers to stomp people who are not relatives. Nafshos mace refers to relatives. So those two words clearly aser being matame to anyone, relatives or non-relatives. So then why does it say l'avavu imo? So that's to teach me that he could be matame to a Mace Mitzvah. Dafka avav and imo, he can't be matame to, but a Mace Mitzvah he could be matame to. Now what's achiv for? So Rabbi Akiva says achiv is for the combination of both things, the Kohen Gadol and a Nazir. Someone who has both of those things, so on him we say that even though he is both of them, he could still be matame to a Mace Mitzvah. You say l'achiv, he can't be matame, but a Mace Mitzvah he could be matame to. Now what's the achoso for? So that's for the halacha about Pesach, about korban Pesach and Milah, like we brought before, to teach you that you could be matame and lose the mitzvah of Pesach and Milah to take care of a Mace Mitzvah, but not to take care of achoso. So that's the two opinions in the Brisa. Now the Gemara wants to compare them. So the Gemara says, according to Rabbi Akiva, how do we know the Gzeira Shava, since we're using Aviv and Imo for other things. So how do we know the Gzeira Shava? This is referring to the limud of Rebbe, that there are only Isser is on Tumas Meis and not on Tumas Ziva and Nagay. So in that, the Gemara answers, we said that he has a drasha to say that there is a person who's a Kohen Gadol and a Nazir could be mitami to a mitzvah. So why do we need to have Kohen Gadol a drasha for that and Nazir a drasha for that? If a Kohen Gadol and a Nazir can't be mitame, so someone who's only one of those two certainly cannot. So that's extra to teach me that it's dafka b'moisam that there's an Isser Tama, but not b'zivasam uvinigam. Okay, now then we're going to Rabbi Shmuel. Because Rabbi Shmuel, how do you know the halacha of a Kohen Gadol who is a Nazir? We didn't have a limit for that. So my answer is you don't need a limit for that. If you know a Kohen Gadol, you know a Nazir. So what's the difference if you have both of them together? It doesn't change the factors. You don't need an extra limit for that. Asks the Gemara, if that's true, why do I need a limit of a choisei to tell me that you're allowed to take care of a mace mitzvah even though you're going to violate Karban Pesach and Mila? What's the difference? Those two things are piled up, but so what? Who cares? You're saying that the two things is no different than one. So Gemara says that's not because it's two things. That's because Karban Pesach and Mila are Issa Kares, and an Issa Kares is an extra chiddush that you could violate that for a mace mitzvah.